You should be grateful I'm only divorcing you and not throwing you out on the street with nothing." That sentence came from my husband, Jason, said so calmly while he slid a stack of papers across our dining table. 2 days later, at the 1 billion rupee wedding he threw for his mistress, Jason was the one turning pale. As always, before we dive into a story with an ending that's going to feel so satisfying, let's do a quick roll call. Type present and tell me which city you're watching this story from in the comments. For everyone who's already liked and subscribed, I pray that God makes your problems easier, widens your income, and keeps you healthy. Thank you, my friends. Now, listen carefully to my story. I used to think I was lucky to have Jason. When we got married, he looked like the perfect package. Charming, good-looking, smart with numbers. He worked in finance. I worked as a freelance graphic designer from home. And after our daughter Lily was born, I stepped back from work and let him handle everything. That was my first mistake. I handed him control of all the money. Jason said the usual sweet lines. "Don't worry about bills, babe. I got it. You just focus on Lily. It's better if one person manages the finances." It sounded caring at the time. I didn't realize it also meant I didn't know how much we had, where it went, or what was in my name. We lived comfortably, not crazy rich, but we had a nice house, a car, holidays once a year. I assumed everything was fine because nothing bounced and our lights stayed on. The first tiny red flag came from Lily, of all people. One afternoon, I was folding laundry in our bedroom when she came in with her tablet. "Mom," said Lily, "why did Dad tell me not to tell you about Aunt Olivia?" I felt my stomach drop. "Who's Aunt Olivia?" I asked, trying to sound casual. Lily shrugged. "The pretty lady Dad took me to get ice cream with. He said she was his special friend from work and that you'd get confused if I talked about her." In my head, I was thinking, what the hell? But out loud, I just said, "Oh, what did you guys do?" She told me about the ice cream, the mall, the toys, normal stuff. But the "don't tell Mom" part burned in my chest. That night, I asked Jason about it when Lily was asleep in the kitchen. "Who's Olivia?" I asked while he scrolled on his phone. He didn't even look up. "She's a colleague. I had to pick her up from the office on the way home, and Lily was with me." "Why, what did Lily say?" "She mentioned you told her not to tell me. Why would you say that?" He finally looked at me and gave this little amused smile that made me feel stupid. "Claire, you know how kids are. She twists things. You're reading way too much into it. You've been home too long. You're starting to create drama in your head." There it was, the first gaslight. Maybe I was overreacting, I told myself. Maybe it was nothing. But after that, I started noticing patterns. Jason started working late more often. There were new cologne scents on his shirts that weren't his. He hid his phone screen when I walked by, and he suddenly put a password on it. I started asking for small things like access to our online banking. "Why do you need it?" he said. "I send you money every month for groceries and Lily stuff. You don't need to stress about our accounts." "It's not about stress," I said. "I'm your wife. I should know what's going on." He sighed like I was a burden. "Claire, you're not good with numbers. If you start poking around, you'll just panic over things you don't understand. Trust me, okay?" I went quiet for a few seconds because I had no idea how to argue with that without sounding crazy. Then came the first solid evidence. One day, Jason forgot his laptop at home and called me frustrated, asking if I could send him a file from it. "Just open the folder called Work Docs and email me the one that says Numbers Q3, he said. I opened the folder, but there was another folder inside it hidden in a weird way called MISC. I don't know what made me click it. Curiosity? Instinct? Inside were screenshots of hotel bookings, restaurant bills, and pictures of Jason with the same woman, Olivia, at different places. Her arms around his neck, his hands on her waist. Some of the screenshots were of chat messages like, "Olivia, babe, when will she sign?" "Jason, soon. Once the divorce is done and the assets are shifted, I'll give you your dream wedding. Promise." I remember my hands shaking so hard that the mouse slipped. Divorce, assets shifted, dream wedding. I emailed him the file he asked for with my face completely numb. After I hung up, I sat there and went through everything. There were also files labeled Life Insurance Claire with huge amounts listed and some documents calling me the insured with Jason as the beneficiary, policies taken out in the last year, much higher than normal. One voice note file was titled Car Talk. I clicked it. It was Jason's voice laughing with some guy. If something happened to Claire, I'd be set for life. The insurance payout is insane. I mean, I'm not saying I get rid of her for good, but man, sometimes the thought crosses my mind. They both laughed. I froze on the spot. I knew people joked about dark stuff, but mixed with everything else, him talking about shifting assets, divorce, insurance, it didn't feel like a joke. That night, I didn't confront him. Instead, I called the only person I could trust with something this big, my older brother, David. David is a lawyer. I used to think his constant nagging about signing nothing without reading it was annoying. That night, I thanked God he existed. I went to his apartment with a USB stick full of everything I'd copied from Jason's laptop. We sat at his kitchen table while he clicked through the files. Claire, he said slowly, rubbing his forehead. This is bad.
I know he's cheating, I said, trying not to cry. But what about the insurance stuff? David turned his laptop so I could see. He's taken out multiple policies on you in the last 18 months. This amount is huge. And look at this. He opened a document Jason had drafted, something that looked like a property transfer and power of attorney all mixed together. It looks like he's planning to make you sign over the house and some investments completely into his name, David said. Then, if you go away, he keeps everything. He's also been using your name on a couple of business loans as guarantor. If those loans go bad, the debt lands on you. I felt like I was going to throw up. So what do I do? I whispered. He already talks to me like I'm crazy when I ask questions. If I confront him about this, he'll flip it on me and say I hacked him or something. David looked at me very calmly. Okay, then we don't confront him. We plan. From that moment, everything changed. We did 3 main things. 1, we protected my rights. David helped me quietly open a separate account in my name and transferred part of the savings that were legally mine into it. We checked the ownership of the house and discovered it was in my name because my parents had helped with the down payment. He almost laughed. He's been acting like he owns the place when in reality you do. 2, we prepared the divorce on our terms. David drafted divorce papers that protected my custody of Lily, confirmed my ownership of the house, and limited Jason's access to my money. We also filed documents revoking any power of attorney Jason had over my assets. 3, we gathered evidence. I started recording. I saved chat backups. I printed every insurance document. David contacted a friend who worked at insurance compliance about Jason's suspicious policies and comments on that voice note. Meanwhile, Jason's mask started to crack. He became more aggressive about getting me to sign documents. One evening, he set the table with candles and my favorite pasta. He poured wine and played soft music. "Wow," I said. "What's the occasion?" He smiled sadly. "I've been thinking, Claire. We haven't been good. I'm tired of fighting. I want us to separate peacefully. No drama." My heart thudded. He pulled out a brown envelope. "I talked to a lawyer," he said. "These are just standard separation and asset transfer forms. It'll make things easier for both of us. We can co-parent. You keep your dignity. I keep mine." He pushed the envelope toward me. "Sign them tonight, and I promise I'll be generous. I'll even keep paying the bills for a while." I opened it. It was full of legal jargon, but thanks to David, I knew exactly what to look for. There were clauses that basically handed everything to Jason: the house, the savings, even some investments I didn't recognize. "I don't understand all this," I said. "I think I should have my own lawyer look at it." His face hardened instantly. "Why? Don't you trust me?" "In this situation, I need to be careful," I replied, trying to keep my voice calm. He slammed his fork down. "You are unbelievable. I'm trying to make this easy and you're sabotaging it. Don't forget, if this gets ugly, I can make you look really bad, Claire. I can tell the court you're unstable, that you'd been neglecting Lily. I can turn her against you if I want." There it was, using our child as a weapon. I felt my whole body go cold. "You would do that?" He shrugged. "If you push me into a corner, yes. So stop pushing. Sign the damn papers." My hands were shaking, but I forced myself to sound small and defeated. "Okay, I'll sign. Tomorrow. I just need a night to calm down." He rolled his eyes but seemed satisfied. "Fine, tomorrow. Don't make me regret being nice." The second he left the room, I sent David a picture of every page. The next day, Jason got what he wanted, or so he thought. David redrafted documents that looked almost identical on the surface, but changed key parts. The house stayed mine, custody of Lily favored me, and Jason's access to any of my accounts was removed. We also filed our own divorce petition quietly before Jason's lawyer even moved. When Jason handed me his envelope at the notary office, we already had ours ready. The notary, Miss Harris, was actually on David's side. She pretended to go along with Jason's version, then smoothly switched to filing the enforceable ones that protected me, because legally the earlier filing and my ownership details gave our documents priority. Jason didn't notice a thing. He was too busy acting like the noble victim. At the notary, he even wiped fake tears. "I just want Claire to be free," he told Miss Harris. "She deserves better than a stressed-out husband like me." He squeezed my shoulder like he was some kind of saint. But inside, I knew. I already cut off my money. The card he was using would soon stop working. The accounts he thought he controlled were either frozen or rerouted. 2 days later, he'd learn that the hard way, because 2 days was his wedding day. Yes, my still legal husband had planned a massive wedding to his mistress, Olivia, scheduled almost immediately after our separation papers were signed. I only found out about the exact date because Lily mentioned it. "Dad said I might get to wear a princess dress soon. He said Olivia is going to be my new mom, and I have to smile for the cameras." I nearly dropped my coffee. In my head, I was thinking, "over my dead body." David and I went full strategy mode. By this point, the insurance compliance officer had opened an investigation into the suspicious policies Jason took out on me. The bank had flagged some of his transactions because of strange loan movements and forged signatures connected to me. The house and main assets were legally safe under my name and in a trust David helped set up. Our divorce filing was in process in a way that cut off his legal claim to my assets, even if he tried to rush something through. The only loose thread was Jason himself, still walking around in expensive suits, telling everyone he was about to have a 1 billion rupee wedding and a fresh start with his true love. He didn't know his financial rug had already been pulled. David's insurance contact, a man named Mr. Carter, looked at everything and said, "This isn't just cheating. This is a pattern of planned financial abuse and possible insurance fraud. If you want, we can make things very uncomfortable for him." I nodded. "I don't want him hurt. I just want him exposed and stopped, and I want Lily safe." They created a plan. Mr. Carter would use his authority and documentation to confront Jason publicly during the wedding, because that's where all his lies, all his show-off spending, and all the people he'd fooled would be in one room. I was terrified, but also weirdly calm.
Jason had been humiliating me in silence for months. The idea of him being exposed in front of everyone felt right. On the wedding day, I didn't dress like some dramatic ex-wife. I wore a simple dress, kept my hair down, and stayed in the back of the ballroom with David and Miss Harris, the notary. The hotel was insane. Flowers everywhere, champagne flowing, a giant screen showing Jason and Olivia's pre-wedding photos. Guests were taking selfies, posting about true love on their stories. I could see Jason's mother, Margaret, telling everyone how relieved she was that Jason had escaped that ungrateful Claire. I heard her say it right behind me. Claire never appreciated him. At least Olivia understands what it means to stand by a man who works so hard. If she turned around, she would have seen me standing there. She didn't. The ceremony started. Jason walked in looking like a prince. Olivia floated down the aisle in a dress that probably cost more than our first car. When the officiant asked if anyone objected, I stayed silent. This wasn't about me screaming, "I object," in a dramatic scene. This was about something colder, facts. The vows ended. The officiant pronounced them husband and wife. Applause erupted. Jason kissed Olivia like they were in a movie. Then they moved to the reception stage. Jason took the mic. "I want to thank everyone who supported me through this tough time," he said, voice thick with fake emotion. "My previous marriage, it was difficult. I was drained, unappreciated. But then I met Olivia, and she showed me what real love looks like." People clapped. Some even wiped their eyes. "And even though some people tried to hold me back," he added, looking straight into the crowd with a pointed expression, "today proves that if you follow your heart, you'll get what you deserve." My jaw clenched. David squeezed my arm, a signal. "Wait," he whispered. "Almost time." That's when the ballroom doors opened. A man in a dark suit walked in, holding a black folder and a small stack of documents. He wasn't security. He wasn't a guest. He had that calm, firm walk of someone who knew exactly what he was about to do. Mr. Carter. He walked straight down the aisle between tables, past shocked waiters and confused guests, and stopped at the edge of the stage. He didn't yell. He just spoke clearly into the nearest mic. "Sorry to interrupt," he said, looking directly at Jason, "but I'm here on behalf of the bank and the insurance company to discuss your money, Mr. Turner." The room went silent. You could feel it, hundreds of eyes shifting from Jason's confident smile to this stranger with the folder. Jason laughed, trying to shake it off. He said, "I think there's been a mistake. We're in the middle of my wedding. Whatever this is, we can handle later." Mr. Carter opened the folder. "I'm afraid we can't. As of 48 hours ago, most of the funds you have been using are either frozen or no longer legally yours. Also, we have serious questions about several life insurance policies you took out on your ex-wife, Claire Turner, while planning this new marriage." You could hear people gasp. Chairs scraped the floor as guests leaned closer. Jason's face shifted. For the first time, I saw genuine panic flash in his eyes. "What are you talking about? This is outrageous. Claire's my wife. We share everything." David stepped forward then, and Miss Harris joined them. I stayed a few steps behind them, heart pounding. "Correction," David said, voice calm but loud enough. "I'm Claire's attorney and brother. Legally, due to the filings we already made and the fact that the house and certain accounts are in her name, you and Claire do not share everything, and your access to her funds was revoked before you threw this 1 billion rupee party." Olivia grabbed Jason's arm. "Jason, what is he talking about? You told me the money was fine." Margaret stood up from her table. "This is a setup. Claire always wanted to destroy Jason. She's jealous of his happiness." I stepped out where they could see me. "Really?" I said, my voice shaking but clear. "Is that why he took out multiple huge insurance policies on me and joked about how rich he'd be if I disappeared?" Mr. Carter nodded and pulled out a small speaker from his bag. "We have something to play," he said. The tech staff at the hotel, who had been warned in advance and paid, thanks to David, switched the audio feed. The romantic background music cut out. Instead, Jason's voice filled the hall. If something happened to Claire, I'd be set for life. The insurance payout is insane. I mean, I'm not saying I'd get rid of her for good, but man, sometimes the thought crosses my mind. Jason's friends' laughter echoed right after. On the big screen, the hotel team now displayed screenshots of the hotel bookings and messages between Jason and Olivia about shifting assets and waiting for me to sign. People are no longer smiling. Phones were pointing straight at the stage, recording everything. Jason went red, then pale. That was a joke. She's twisting everything. She hacked my laptop. She's insane. You all know she's unstable. There it was again, trying to paint me as the crazy one.
Mr. Carter shook his head. We also have physical documents with your signature, Mr. Turner. Multiple forged signatures in your wife's name on loan guarantees. We have confirmations from the bank that Claire reported this. We have the timeline of when you took out the policies and started transferring funds to accounts connected to your mistress. Olivia turned even paler. Mistress, she whispered. Jason, what loans? What policies? You told me this money was clean. Margaret pointed a shaking finger at me. Claire, stop this. You're humiliating all of us. Think of Lily. David stepped in again. We are thinking of Lily. That's why we're doing this, here in front of everyone, so there's no more secret manipulation. You all saw how Jason tried to make Claire sign away everything. We have recordings of him threatening to turn Lily against her. He nodded at me. It was my turn. With my hands still trembling, I took the mic. Jason, I said, looking straight at him, you told me I should be grateful you were only divorcing me instead of throwing me on the street with nothing. You tried to make me believe I was useless with money. You hid everything. You used our daughter to scare me into signing documents I didn't understand. People shifted uncomfortably in their chairs. I might have stayed quiet forever if I hadn't seen your files. The hotel bookings, the messages promising Olivia a dream wedding once you shifted the assets and got rid of me, the insurance policies with huge payouts if something happened to me. You didn't just cheat, you tried to build your entire new life on destroying mine. Jason's eyes darted around the room, looking for an ally. Mom, he pleaded, but Margaret was silent now, her lips pressed tight. She looked more worried about what people thought than about him. Olivia yanked her arm away from Jason's grip. You told me you were the victim, she hissed, loud enough for the mic to catch it. You said she was a lazy, ungrateful wife, draining you dry. You never told me you were trying to leave her with debt and insurance policies on her head. She stepped back from him, shaking. Mr. Carter cleared his throat. To be clear, we will be continuing this through proper channels, he said. The accounts used to pay for this event are flagged. The loans tied to Claire's name are under review, and her signatures are being examined. Any fraudulent activity falls on you, Mr. Turner. The hotel manager, who had been standing at the side looking panicked, finally spoke. Mr. Turner, if the funds are frozen... He lowered his voice, but the mic still caught it. Who is going to pay for all this? That was the final twist. Jason looked around at the flowers, the chandeliers, the massive stage, the guests in their fancy clothes, all of it built on money he no longer had. He opened his mouth, but nothing came out. For the first time since I had known him, he wasn't in control. He wasn't the smart one. He wasn't the powerful one. He was just a man standing on a stage in a suit he hadn't paid for, in a wedding he couldn't afford, being watched by hundreds of people who now knew exactly what he tried to do. He dropped the mic. It hit the floor with a loud thud and rolled, screeching against the stage. The sound echoed through the ballroom like the crack of something breaking. Security and a couple of officials from Mr. Carter's team walked toward him. They didn't drag him or anything dramatic. They just spoke quietly and walked him off the stage. Jason didn't fight. He just went along, shoulders slumped. He never came home again that night. The wedding dissolved into chaos. Some guests ran out, whispering. Others stayed, watching Olivia sob on stage. Margaret sat down hard in her chair, staring blankly at the tablecloth. David turned to me. "You okay?" I let out a breath I felt like I had been holding for months. Not okay, but safer. Miss Harris smiled gently. "You still have your house, your daughter, and your name. That's more than he expected you to have." Months later, Jason faced legal consequences for the fraudulent loans and the forged signatures. The insurance investigation went deep, too, and while I can't share every detail, let's just say he lost his job, his reputation, and any authority over my finances. In the divorce settlement, I got full custody of Lily, with only supervised visits from him for a while, and even those were conditional. The court didn't like the idea of a father who used his child as leverage and tried to bleed the mother dry while planning a new life. Some of Jason's family eventually apologized. Not all of them, but a few. "We didn't know you. We believed his version. I'm sorry for the things we said about you." I forgave them, sort of. I didn't forget, though. I set boundaries. Now it's just me and Lily in our house. I went back to design work, built a small client base, and slowly started to feel like an actual person again, not just someone's wife or someone's victim. Sometimes I still hear Jason's line in my head. "You should be grateful I'm only divorcing you instead of throwing you on the street with nothing." And I think about that moment at his wedding when the mysterious man walked in, opened a folder, and turned his lies into his own humiliation. From everything that happened, I learned that trusting your partner doesn't mean handing them blind control over your life, your money, or your future. If something feels wrong, don't let them convince you you're crazy. Get informed, get help, and protect yourself and your children. Now I know that anyone who plans their happiness on destroying yours will eventually trip over their own trap. If you've been through something similar or want to share your own story, write it in the comments. Don't forget to share this video with your friends, hit the like button, and subscribe so you don't miss the next stories.